Welcome to the January 22nd bhyve production user call. We have Rod, Andrew, Roman, Antranig, Hans, and myself, Michael, so far. And a week or two ago, Andrew brought up the fact that Windows in general is acting a bit weird regard to NVMe. And with a little digging, it turns out that they have not quite been shipping people an NVMe driver that's on by default, and it's been defaulting to SCSI emulation. There are some good links in the doc about that. And for our circles, it would be very good to benchmark, say, the air quotes NVMe support versus the true native support versus virt IO. So if you've got some time this weekend, feel free to plow into that. Hans kindly reported that his virt IO SCSI work is under review, especially in Lumos, and his CPU ID work is going well. Hans, do you have anything to add or questions for the group or ways to help?
No, not currently.
No worries. Just to get this out there from a local meeting, glad to see you there, Rod. An OpenBSD developer is like, let's try Sylve, and gee, we really don't have docs of like how to get to the point that you can use it, such that things like setting up networking were not obvious, but it's also perhaps not Sylve's responsibility. So as we approach 1.0, it might be time to have some tutorials and explanations of how to go from zero to Sylve, and maybe someone submitted a talk about that for a certain Canadian conference. Roman, thank you for being here. You've reported that you've got FreeBSD working on a Quartz 64 Model A ARM64 board. Are there any things that are specifically not working on that board? Should one run out and buy one?
Yeah, I have some. Well, basically, currently I can use bhyve only in the ACPI mode, and it doesn't
Oh,
work in the device tree mode. And in ACPI mode, the built-in Ethernet adapter doesn't work, so I have to use the external USB adapter. But in this configurations, it seems to work fine, so it's usable.
ah, cool. That describes what I'm seeing on the Minis forum MSR1, I believe it's called. I have to use an external NIC, and I've seen some very laggy performance. So I was hoping to move it to NVMe from external USB storage, but I'll keep you posted on that. While you are talking, anything unique to report on LibVirt, be it this recent release or on your current work on ARM64?
Yeah, the recent release includes some updates related to ARM64 initial support and some devices support and so forth. Yeah, so that is interesting. For the next release, I do not expect any major changes because I'm currently focused on making LibVirt CI working on for the ARM64, so I can build on top of that to continue development.
Okay. What's the state? I believe it's a related project of Virt Manager, which I believe is the front end for libvirt. Is that healthy on FreeBSD?
Yeah, I think it's more or less working on FreeBSD and basically it's a client application for LibVirt and you can use it also with bhyve, but bhyve experience may be a little bumpy because some features could be not supported or not advertised properly,
Mm-hmm.
but that I guess if somebody uses that and they can open up bugs and I will take a look.
Oh, that's good to hear. Maybe Bumpy, please report issues you find. Any questions for Roman? Antranig, what you got going here?
I want to add support for CPU pinning ranges.
Ah,
Um, the syntax mostly looks like this. I have it mostly working, but I need to also add some error handling. For example, if you set, let's say, 8 on the guest, but 10 on the host, or vice versa, it will tell you that, it's not matching. Um, while I was brainstorming this with an LLM, it also suggested to add the option of a comma because you would have a single dash P and then the rest with a comma. I like the idea, but it might be making it overly complicated that the system already has opt args anyway, so it parses all of the dash P's as needed. So which is what I'm using right now to pin 64 times 3 CPUs. So
Mhm.
do the math. But I don't think that a comma is needed. It might be just an LLM doing. But if someone thinks it's a cool idea, maybe I can add that. Maybe it would be helpful for Sylve, for example, right? So instead of having multiple dash P's, it could have a single dash P. Maybe it's useful. If it is, to let me know, I'll add that too. But need
And
to do some. Yes, go on.
adding that to upstream bhyve, to VM
Yes,
bhyve, to somewhere else entirely.
upstream bhyve.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I do have a question for people who do bhyve development. We don't have para visualization or nested visualization, sorry. So what's the process here? I do definitely need a current running on bare metal in order to test all of these, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone's running current? I'm guessing.
Um, so for
I
folks like
do.
Roman and I on ARM64, it seems that at
It's the
least
only option.
15 stable is critical for the things they brought in to support recent CPUs. So yeah, somewhere between 15 stable and current, but of course development should be on current. Yes,
It's
Hans,
funny because I want my beefiest machine to be stable, so it's running
that's the
release.
paradox, exactly.
That's the paradox. It's
Yes,
very,
correct.
very, very, very fun to see. Anyway, yeah, okay.
Nailed
I'll
it.
probably,
Bingo.
yeah. I'll move maybe a different machine to current to test it on 16 current because I'm doing it on whatever the release is, 15 release, yeah, because I wanted to have the system stable as possible. Um, yeah.
And is that related to, say, a university and a very large system?
Yes, because we moved our fat 200 CPU machine to multiple 64 core machines. This is actually step number one. If I get this done, next up, I want to have a bhyve. Uh, I want to have a bhyve. I want to have bhyve to automatically enumerate these things. So basically, have like dash capital P, which means do CPU pinning, and then somehow for it to realize, oh, these CPUs are already pinned, which is data that you can get from bhyve CTL, and then be like, let's see what other available CPUs we have and pin to those. So that would be the ideal scenario. So I would never ever need to specify specific CPU pinnings, but rather just
So,
say do CPU pinning and it should figure out the rest.
so you're saying make it easy.
Make it easy.
No,
Yeah, that
that's
would be the
cool. I'm all
next
for
step.
that.
Yeah, because we're getting a fatter machine. The current one is 256 on bare metal. I think the
Hmm.
next one's gonna be 380 something because the number of cores are getting up on the AMD cores, on the AMD CPUs.
I see. Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to get more complex to manage all of these over time, especially when you also have like a tinier VM for like SSH or another VM for like, I don't know, Slurm manager in a high performance computing environment.
So you don't
So
lose access from
track
your
of who's
management
who.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't use track of things. And now I have like a large one-liner that literally says, here are the available CPUs based on your bhyve configs. So it is getting more and more complex.
So
Michael, that does
yes.
remind me. I also need to check bhyve config file for CPU pinning. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's even documented.
Oh, documented, possibly not. I sure hope it's in there. Quick question. Could you tell our guests what application wants and benefits from pinning?
Yes, so the boot
And
process is at least 5 times faster. Um, but that's something that you will notice immediately. The reason for that is the guest is going to do CPU enumeration, and if the CPUs are not pinned on the host, it's going to go back and forth and do
context
context
switching.
context switching on the CPUs because it's like, oh, I just have general purpose 256 cores. But when you do the CPU pinning, it's literally now enumerating it properly, and it goes very fast. But other than that, you would notice other than that, you would notice speeds when it comes to, let's say, scientific software that cares about things such as two cores having a single thread, right? So it's like, okay, here are two virtual cores that have, here's a virtual core that has virtual threads. That's one thing. But when
Yeah.
it's literally the same on the bare metal, then the actual process of, jumping from a bus on the CPU, or if you have multi-socket system, then literally jumping on the motherboard bus, it's going to get, more realistic. So it would win. You would, I mean, based on our benchmarks, we're getting, let's say, 10% better performance only if the software is actually made for that. Again, scientific software, sorry, it's mostly shitty. PhDs are very smart, but not very good programmers. But if a piece of software is written for that purpose, you would notice a difference. Actually, we have noticed difference on a very specific software
Yeah.
called
With
Kraken.
Kraken,
Kraken, yeah, like release
like
the
the
Kraken.
mythical. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. So the Kraken, we're seeing the serious improvement based on the CPU pinnings or without it. At some point, we had such a large data set, and only running Kraken alone needed like a terabyte of memory. And running it, I'm not saying running it properly, I'm just saying running it needed at least a terabyte of memory.
Oh, goodness.
That if we didn't have a terabyte of memory and didn't have CPU pinning, it would like fail. It would be like, oh, I'm just like not fast enough. This might take an eternity.
So it's not a performance benefit. It's just getting off the ground.
Oh, yeah, for the Kraken, it
Yeah.
literally is like that. Yeah, but after
Goodness.
CPU pinning and after giving it enough memory, we saw that it's running, and then with doing the pinning properly, as in like specifying, okay, these two cores are on the host and the guest because they are threads on the host, like and taking into consideration things such as NUMA zones, it becomes 10% faster. Yes.
Okay, cool. Welcome, Hazem. Uh, is anyone else using CPU pinning here and now? I know John was, but he hasn't been on for a while. Not Baldwin, the other one. I
Mhm.
will add you to the. Uh, Hazem, welcome. I threw in some
Hello.
feedback that I provided you. It was from an OpenBSD developer who was like, well, I'd love to try Sylve, but how do we go from zero to hero, as Andrew put it in chat? Uh, how are you on the road to 1.0, and how can we help? And what does it look like for what documentation do you have in mind for people getting started with Sylve?
Okay, so am I audible?
Yes,
I'm having a
sir.
hot mic setup here. Yeah. Okay, so to answer the first question, I actually use CPU pinning pretty heavily in
Ah,
my workflow
fantastic.
right now,
Okay, yes, please.
and yeah, and it's weird because my system has a lot of cores, and we have a lot of VMs as well, but I never see the CPU going more than like what 2%. And some of these VMs are not really that idle as well. So it's either my process monitoring is broken, but the thing is, in HTOP as well, it shows the same thing. So it's very weird. And it has been working fantastic for me. I use an OpenWRT machine to do all my like primary development stuff, and it has been great.
Uh,
To
what
answer, yeah.
applications are benefiting and what percentage benefit do you see?
I see maybe a 30%
Oh, hello.
improvement in like the latency mostly I feel like because
Yep, absolutely.
the
So
machine I'm
yes.
talking about is like it's a weird machine because it runs like a Go server and like a Node.js server, and then there's VS Code running on top of it. So it's like being hit on all sides. Uh,
Okay,
and to
fantastic.
make things worse, it's running musl libc, not glibc. So that's weird, on its own.
No, no,
And
it's
I've been
brilliant.
having so much fun with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So that's I would highly recommend it because the latency feels like it's much improved with CPU pinning. And one thing I will to note that is that the VM was behaving weirdly when I gave it a lot of cores instead of a lot of sockets.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept sockets and threads at one, and I just increased the cores and threads at one, and then increased the socket by like 20 or something like that. And then it just flies now. It's just, amazing to work with.
Then you said you increased the sockets,
Yeah, yeah, the number of sockets, yes.
and I hope you didn't hit licensing issues.
I was
That,
about to, sorry, I was
was
going to say I
that,
was about to bring up licensing issues
yeah.
because if we can figure out how to keep the number of sockets down, that's going to probably be important because of those licensing issues, as long as proprietary software is a thing, which I don't see changing anytime in the near future.
Hmm.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't get the licensing issue
It
part.
so for example, Windows Server was pinned in pricing to say number of sockets. Like, oh, that's back when multiple sockets are less and less a thing thanks to the threading, but there are applications and OSs that say, hey, no, you need a big fancy enterprise license to have multiple
Oh, okay, yeah,
sockets.
yeah,
It's
makes
like,
sense.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
you're not spending enough on this,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, makes sense.
Uh, let's see. So was it purely the like Unix environment of Go and Node and all that that benefited, or perhaps Windows apps or
I saw
anything?
like I do a lot of stuff over SSH, and I saw that latency drop like pretty dramatically. For me to notice, it's a big thing because I have done it, in all sorts of places. I've done it on my local libvirt instance on Debian. I've done it on weird hypervisors like VMware and all these sort of places. But maybe it's because I tuned ZFS a lot in the default config,
Hmm.
and I also tuned the CPU config because most of these are the hypervisors. Like I remember trying to set up CPU pinning with my local KVM machine, and it was not so much fun because it's just XML, and I don't know how to deal with it. So in bhyve it's just minus P, so
There you go.
it
And
was fun. Yeah.
uh, XML was not fun. I have another question for you. Oh, thank you for that screenshot. Was not fun. Okay, so who posted the screenshot for
That would be
context?
me.
Hello, Antranig. So yeah, Hazem, you joined it perhaps and hopefully caught Antranig talking about a proposal of his to make pinning easy by having, say, this syntax. And I don't know if you caught him saying, his LLM suggested commas, but maybe just dashes are perfectly fine and you just parse them with optargs. But do you have any thoughts on how this could benefit Sylvie?
Right now, what we do is we kind of do this exact same thing, but we manually pass in the arguments and kind of make it very opaque for the user because
Yeah,
otherwise it becomes really complicated because they don't want to see like 50 different pinning arguments if they're pinning 50 cores, right? So we do basically the same
here's
thing, but just in many lines.
here's mine. Oh, sorry, wrong place. Wait a second. I'm gonna need to edit here. As you can see, theme 2 is active.
Yep, that's
Theme
exactly what we do.
2's CPU pinning.
There we go. I see. Oh, good. Yep.
Paste. There we go. Also, for ease of
Hey,
use for
goodness.
VM bhyve users, I also made a gist generate bhyve CPU pinning, which is
I have it 2 tabs over.
here.
I can add that.
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you for that. Always have your links handy. Good boy.
yeah. This is a good one because this is like you give it number of hosts on the CPU, number of sockets, number of threads, how many CPUs you need, and your last usable CPU, and it like just counts down, which is why you would see that the CPU is going up. You see like 0, and but like my calculation is typically like goes. So what I do is like I say, hey, 191 is my last available socket here in the end, and it goes like, okay, 191, then we go 190, then we go 189, and then it's like, oh, but because you need 64, I'm going to count down to 32, then I'm going to jump to the second socket. So it's like, basic math, but that was the whole idea of it, to space them around on the sockets as well. Yeah.
So between Hazem and Roman, please check his work and see if that needs to show up either in a tool external to Sylve that it uses or internal to Sylve or LibVirt, etc. Okay?
Yeah.
Great work.
I just
Yes.
wanted to also to point out that one thing I'm suffering to find is there's this thing called get CPU topology in bhyve CTL, but it doesn't print the CPU pinnings.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. So if I do something
Note
like,
the
I'm sure that information is saved somewhere, because in the source code I see it's being saved into memory somewhere, but I don't know how it goes. So
what's the
if I do
syntax to show the topology?
let me just paste
Please
it into the
drop
doc.
it. Thank you.
There we go. Right, so that's what it prints. It's like, oh, 2 sockets, 16 cores, 2 threads, max CPU 256. But
Bingo.
I still, max 60 CPU is of course static on all the VMs, because it's like the number of CPUs on the host. But I still don't see the actual CPU pinnings in here, and I don't know
And this is
how to
definitely
get
on a
that.
pin system, correct?
This is, yes, we
Then
don't
that's
know
a
anything
very
about that.
tangible issue to look at.
Yeah, I'm sure it's somewhere, but I have no idea where. Maybe like there's a weird ioctl that I can do on the VMM device to get something. But I'll figure it out.
Yes, that definitely look into that. Thank you, because I can see how, gee, that bhyve has been very opaque from day one. It's like, yeah, it's doing stuff, and you are booted to storage, but where that storage came from is a secret. It's immaculate conception or something. I don't know. Just good luck. So yeah, I will even flag this red because that's again a very tangible uh point. And the more information, the better. Because if you, for example, if you inherit a system or have to reproduce a system, yeah. Anything else on pinning? I do have another question for Hazem. More like before I forget. So Hazem, I don't know if you saw the links on the Windows NVMe driver that Andrew directed us to a week or two ago. I've got some links at the top of the doc, but indeed they've been using the like SCSI emulated driver for years and selling people high-end fancy NVMe drives like pro models, but the OS is like probably barely using any features and benefits they offer. So that kind of was an eye-opener last week. But I can imagine as you're chasing down latency, be it through the pinning or otherwise, that the choice of driver could also have a huge impact. And we concluded, and I have an open kind of call here, could someone please look at these facts and then benchmark against, say, the NVMe emulation, thank you, Chuck, or VirtIO. But I can see how that would very much interest you and your audience. And you're
That
muted, but
makes a
I've
lot of
said
sense
what I'll say.
actually. I've had a lot of fun with NVMe on Windows, but I think this was such a long time ago where I actually tried to make Windows work, and it's not the issue of the hypervisor; it's just that the operating system itself was broken. So
Ha,
I kind of gave
okay.
up.
Yeah, well, do note
Yeah.
those articles because they do dive pretty deeply into, the registry hacks, et cetera, to choose driver, et cetera. And my colleague Levi, who's been on some of these calls, has indeed tried it and found lower latency. So it's a theme that keeps coming
And
up. That's why I want to bring it up. Go ahead, Andrew.
I think you missed it earlier. I mentioned that the newer driver that does not go through the SCSI subsystem wasn't added until Server 2025 in Windows NVMe. So if your tests on older stuff, it probably didn't work. It may work now.
Yeah, so I guess better late than never. How long have we had NVMe? I would, anyhow, that I wanted to make sure
That's
crossed your desk.
all that said. I don't see, at least in the super near future, the situation changing from having to be a registered hack because the unfortunate situation Microsoft's in here is now that people have installations on NVMe directly to NVMe using the old driver, changing that requires making changes to their installation and their bootloader. And so that's not something that I would necessarily want to put in front of the average end user. For anybody here, fine, whatever. But most of Windows users are not looking here.
Yes, good point.
And yeah.
Cool. Anything else on pinning or NVMe? So this crossed my desk from David Chisnell, a remarkably talented person who has some VM container scripts, and I believe he's part of the FreeBSD project. And oh gosh, was it GNU step before that and other clever things? Let's see if the sucker will load. If there's something to glean from it, fantastic. The doc is there. Let's see what he's got. Okay. VM tools for Podman. So yeah, straddling the jail calls and this, all things Podman have been coming up quite a bit. Building the VM. Are there Podman users within reach right now? Okay, there's a taste of that, and thoughtful and well documented as always. Thank you, David. So,
Just a small note
yes,
regarding
please.
Podman. I know this is kind of like a jails thing, but
Nope, that's
please
fine.
don't use musl libc based Linux distros inside jails or Podman or whatever. And it's very, very common for Docker files or whatever Podman files people make to use Alpine, and it breaks in very, very mysterious ways. And I spent a lot of days trying to figure it out. I remember even in these calls, I asked a few questions around, and it's just not gonna be, a fun time. So if anybody is trying, Podman or anything like that inside jails, like or using Docker files that are intended for Alpine, like just nix it because it's like pretty broken and networking is broken. Like sometimes the file system stuff is broken. Like it's just weird. So just run it in a VM. It will give you a much, better time. But I had an excellent time with I think it was Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux works great. Devuan works great if you hate systemd and friends. So yeah, and I actually migrated a pretty big CI completely to I think yeah, a Rocky Linux jail, and it has been fantastic because the boot time was like a second, and it just works flawlessly. And I run a .NET application. What was it? I think GitHub Actions inside of it. I mean Actions Runner inside of it, and it's awesome. So yeah, and I would have saved all that time if I didn't try to make it all work inside Alpine Linux. So this is something to note for people trying it out.
So that's a Rocky VM or a Rocky jail
Rocky
compatible?
Jail, Rocky Jail.
No kidding. Well, what is Rocky requiring systemd or not?
They actually do, but you can kind of run without it. What I do is I use the RC local script to start all my stuff, even networking. So I just made a very small script that starts up networking, and then the SSH daemon and even the actions runner. So we have this cool thing where if somebody makes a commit on some branch that we want to like run CI on, it would send a message. And since we have wake on LAN and self, we turn that machine on, and then it runs the CI, and then it just shuts itself down once the CI job is done. So we kind of waste no CPU cycles running that jail even. We just wanted to try it out, and it just works. It just works great.
Do you have any just you can share or scripts or anything? This is
Um,
fantastic.
Actually, I could show you guys a little bit of a demo maybe.
Uh,
Do we have time for that?
we will make time. Sure, let's go ahead and do that. Is it queued up and ready to go? Because how about I punch through my
Yeah, yeah,
news and we do that? Okay, so
it
hold that
is.
thought.
I think so, yeah.
That is huge. Anyone agreeing with me, or you think I'm just crazy here? Uh, so We'll get to that in just a second. I'll just punch through these. DCH is saying, hey, he and his team and Pat Maddox, who happen to be at the same pizza thing, are looking at 9P file system. So they have a review out there to take a peek for VM bhyve and a review in FreeBSD and some example syntax here. So please take a peek. I plowed a whole bunch of time into bhyve ARM64 this weekend. And I cannot tell if bhyve load is working or ever will ever work. It does stuff, but it sure doesn't start a VM. And for what I'm doing, that would sure be helpful for testing a few things. I tried the Router OS cloud router and it puked. It panicked here. Couldn't find a NIT. That's both stock and one that I adjusted the partitions on. OmniOS. Thank you. Was it Mr. Gilbert working with Andrew who pointed out the official OmniOS builds? They have a really weird name, Breach or something. I tried it with the bhyve firmware. I tried it with their firmware. With their firmware, it did not give me like a console or anything, so I couldn't quite tell if it's booted. So trying to be a good boy, I booted it under QEMU, which did work using the syntax kind of hybridized between OmniOS and FreeBSD and got QEMU ARM64 running on OmniOS ARM64. And I thought I'll enable SSH and pop into it, but no, I never quite saw the machine. So I don't know what's wrong. And of course, I had zero transparency as to what's going on. I am all ears to what ARM64 distros to try, but I could find very few things that are not Raspberry Pi, are not QCat2, are not a whole bunch of the kind of traditional decade ago ARM64-ish things. So let's see. I went there. I tried like 9front. I tried all kinds of crazy stuff. What was this? Maybe that was the output from QEMU. Anyway,
Sorry, are you saying that cloud-hosted router OS didn't boot?
it will boot on Intel. It will not boot on ARM64 for me. You're
Well,
welcome
yeah,
to
it
poke at it.
should boot on Intel.
It does.
It does. Okay.
So I gave it a go. I tried some CentOS. I just quickly blasted through all the things I could think of. This had some useful syntax, which was how to run a FreeBSD system on an ARM Linux. So that's what I wanted to share. I am all ears for things to try under it. And a few years ago, about a year or two ago, we had a call where we just threw stuff at the ThunderX box and made some progress. So any questions about that or suggestions?
Cisco?
If you've got some image to try, I'll try it, but I don't know how official that can be said.
Officially, I have none. Non-officially, I'll ask you later.
Legend Finder, have you found any legends? Welcome. Is this your first call?
Legend Finder did have a question in chat, which
Oh,
is
I
sorry,
missed it.
but
Sorry.
I have a question. If, for example, I want to make an app for FreeBSD, is it okay to call it, for example, FreeBSD Writer? And I said, do you mean legally? They said yes. What's the
That's a great
legality there?
question.
I think you can. You just have to credit, right? Based on our, because it is
Oh,
trademarked to the foundation, but no one's stopping you from using the name.
I trust Rodney. You've come across things over the years of like when utilities need to say FreeBSD in them, what's the process? And I don't see that question unless it's in the doc. Is it in the doc?
It's in the chat.
Oh, I'm not seeing that. Da, 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 da. And Andre, do you see Roman's point about using CPU
Yes.
set ones? Okay, great. So just I don't want to document that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that and see if I can modify the syntax a bit. Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit obviously parallel to it, but question use of FreeBSD in utilities that are related to FreeBSD. Is that an accurate summary, legend finder?
That's a very good question because my mentor Inna, who's a
Hmm.
BSD admin, but at the same time she likes to do sketches, and she was asking, can I legally create free BSD stickers?
That's a great question on every project.
Yeah,
A
especially the
perennial.
Beastie, because the Beastie is trademarked to
Kirk McCusick.
McCusick.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I think you should ask him that.
I have asked, and you'll see at the bottom of bsdfund.org, what's, hey, here, we have permission from Kirk to use it. So yeah, and he's super accessible. My gosh, so just
Okay.
ask, and feel free to ask the foundation. And if it's not, if if the folks at the table, one of them's a muted co-founder of FreeBSD, if we don't know the answers to that, these really should be documented both on the project and the foundation page. Thank you very much. We this should be clear. How about
I,
that?
I believe both are clearly documented.
Okay.
Awesome.
I can't tell you exactly where, but at one time both were clearly documented. Use of BSD has clearly been documented as you need to acquire McCusick's permission, and the use of FreeBSD is first, there's a set of conditions under which you can use it without permission, and then outside of those, you need to ask permission to the foundation.
Got it.
Oh, it's probably been moved because let me see if I can find it.
Thank you.
Do we have a bhyve logo?
Yeah, the one that's now
bhyve?
in
Okay.
the EC. That was, community volunteered, and I did actually, that reminds me, someone did ask for clarification on it, and that was at a terrible time. So let me get back to that person. Okay,
So-
bhyve logo guy. Oh boy. It's a full-time job of volunteering, and that's a whole different conversation. So go ahead and
Yeah.
research that. How about while you do that, Hazem, you give us a CI demo? Because I am intrigued, I admit.
Sure.
Because GitHub Actions have come up for quite some time, and that's been a pain point for, say, Netflix and friends.
Okay. So
It's sad that it just became a paid service. It used to be free.
Aha.
This is our one of our CI runners, and as I mentioned, like this is what my RC local looks like. So I do this to set up kind of networking inside of the jail. I have to use FreeBSD, ifconfig and route and stuff like that to so that networking works. And then I use the rootfs provided IP command to set up the loopback interface, which funnily enough didn't, like just work. I don't know why. And
Could
then,
you drop
level
that in chat?
SSHD.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
So that's that. And then this is the, fun part where we just run the action script as is. And let me check if we have some logs here.
And thank you,
So
Rodney.
it just, runs and then it's sort of like magic because .NET or whatever this is written in, I've seen it cause issues on so many native Linux distros, and it's really funny that it doesn't even know that we're running under FreeBSD. So, it's nice.
Wow.
And I couldn't get this to work on Alpine either, like the VM, because apparently they don't support musl either, the actions binary or .NET as a whole maybe. But this just works. This just works, like pretty much flawlessly at this point. And the only gripe I had with it was, systemd, because it just won't work inside a jail. But Rocky people added this for compatibility purposes, and they push systemd here, but you can still use this to make things work. So when the jail starts up, it runs the stuff, and we have fun. That's yeah.
That is
Awesome.
fantastic. And how important is the environment bit at the end there? Is that what kicks it
Oh,
off?
this is just for actions. They don't let you run as root, so we push that in, so we get to run as root.
Oh, are you willing to share that too, for completeness?
Yeah, sure.
Cool, thank you.
So this is just
Awesome.
using
Awesome.
their basic scripts that I just, doubly get from the link they give you when you set it up. Like I didn't make any changes to it except this environment variable here, and it works great.
Wow.
And there is
Okay.
some setup involved, but you can do it all from the GUI. Actually, we ran into some things that we couldn't do in the GUI, so we kind of, added those features as well. So let me just stop this here. Yep. So if we go here, we can see that, there are some fstab entries to make the
Yep,
Linux
yep.
jail work. Yep. And then
Can you share
there are
those?
some, yep.
I mean, you're doing
Uh,
Rod's work here.
and another thing is that we forgot was the fact that, they need SSD IPC and memory locking. So we kind of added in after the fact. And another thing is when you create a jail right now, you could actually do this from the UI. Okay, you need to select something.
And
Let's say
share those
Rocky, and
parameters if you
then
will too. That's just so invaluable.
yep.
To save anyone else a headache, because that's the whole purpose of communicating like this. Thank you.
Um,
So here we can, kind of select for simple Linux jail. So then people don't have to type this out manually. And another thing is we have this experimental Linux jail type. So it
Nice.
selects options that, kind of is required for Linux jails. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, I think at this point you could do it all from the GUI. That was kind of the goal as well. Like yeah, so that's
so
that.
two
Very
questions.
cool.
Is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
clustering working already?
Clustering,
Like
it is working, but I
mhm,
kind of made it like a tech demo at this point because I
mhm.
wanted to see like how fast it could get
Okay, I
and
see.
and how much data I can push through it. So right
Okay,
now it's just, like basic stuff. But
okay. And what was
yeah,
what's the IPC? What's the IPC between the hosts?
right now it's just regular TCP.
Okay, I see. Okay, and
Uh,
the name of the machine, is that like Altair ibn Lahad or just like something
yes,
else?
yes, yes.
Okay,
I'm so glad you know
okay.
you got that. Yeah, it's an Assassin's Creed reference. So
Yeah.
so yeah. I wanted to build something on what you just asked. What was I going to say?
IPC
I
connection,
lost my.
maybe?
No, no,
Well,
no. Before that,
before that.
I don't remember. Um, yeah, clustering, yeah.
Clustering,
So,
yes.
yeah, I was looking into, replication stuff because we were looking into a lot of clustering stuff as well. So, and Michael recommended Zelta a lot, and
Hmm.
I'm really hesitant towards trying new tools because I'm kind of set in my ways. But Zelta has been awesome. We actually use it in production now for this VM. I mean, this machine, and we replicate every like what 30 minutes or something like that to an offsite host as well as something that is inside our office. So that's great. The only thing that I'm missing in Zelta is pruning, and I see that I forget his name.
That's Daniel Bell, and he's often on
Daniel.
these
Yeah,
calls.
Daniel. Yeah. Daniel. I think he's working on that as we speak, which is great. So once that is done, I would have replication within this because a lot of the plumbing around replication, especially for ZFS, is painful with like regular CFS commands. But he made it
Yeah,
really simple. So
yeah.
I would send it with that, and it's really cool how simple it becomes. Like once you start actually using it, and yeah. So I'm pretty sure.
Your UI might benefit a lot from the Zelta match. Like for me as a sysadmin to just
Absolutely.
know, oh, Debian FS is replicated, let's say, 90%, right? There's like 10% of
Mhm.
replication that's not done, which is like it's 4 data sets. But that Zelta match alone might be very useful for regular sysadmins who would want to have a GUI like this.
Yep, true. Yeah,
And
and yeah,
Daniel's
once pruning is in, I would push it.
And we discussed the rotate feature recently, so he's got a whole bunch of updates planned for March.
That's
They were
good
on
to know.
recent OpenZFS calls, and do check out his talk from the OpenZFS Summit. It was very good. I did not arm twist him extensively to a point that I gave him a title, but that's anyway. Other
Any more
things to
questions for
share
me?
about
Yeah.
Sylve while you've got it open? Maybe you preemptively ask that same
Yeah, I
thing.
just added this cool little cloud init templates feature.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you can make a VM and select, enable cloud init here, and then, select a template that you just made, because, typing in templates is hard every time. So that's pretty cool. And for CPU pinning, like, you can actually select here. So this is what the GUI looks like, and it looks very, kind of daunting when there's a lot of cores, but oh yeah, we have to, let's say 16, and then we go here and we should be able to select 16. Yeah. So we had a lot of fun building this, because, and underneath what this does is it just makes those -p arguments and then passes it to bhyve through libvirt, and it was fun
Nice.
doing that. Yep. And right now I have this VM which I was talking about earlier. Okay, I can't edit any of these fields because when the VM is running, bhyve doesn't support that yet. Let's just stop that. And then, okay. So these 8 cores are just pinned like this, and yeah, and it's been fun.
So
I
go ahead.
make a suggestion for that CPU pinning interface.
Yeah.
Would it be
Sorry, I didn't get
possible
that question.
I was going to make a suggestion for that CPU pinning interface.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
If it's at all possible, would it could you determine the structure of the CPUs? For instance, where the socket divides are, and where you're seeing multiple threads on the same CPU, and adjust it to expose that to the user and make it useful.
That's actually a very good point, and I looked into it, but the problem of the matter is I'm not really a very nice hardware guy, and I figured out pretty quickly that people run on all different kinds of configurations, and if I try to do something like that, I'll probably get it wrong. So I kind of left it open-ended for the user at this point.
Do you see
So
the
the
sysctl?
domains.
So sorry.
Yeah, I did see
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think somebody posted it in our Discord as well, like how we could do it, but I never got around to it because I tried writing it on one machine, one of the mini PCs I have, and then it would just not work on like maybe multiple socket. Not it's not that it doesn't work. It's just that I don't know how to parse it consistently. I
Yeah,
think that would
I
be a
agree
better way
with
to
him.
put it.
We had the exact same problem with our dual socket system. So like it was easier to parse with an eye. It's because it's an XML file, right? Like it was easier to
Yep.
read it than figure out a software to parse it. So
Yep.
and yeah, but in ideal scenario, maybe we can have like a tiny web application, with some JavaScript program where we can input in it the XML, and then it can like draw what the actual machine looks like. I tried that once and I failed miserably, but I might try it again. And then from there we can figure out if it, and also if someone did read the latest news from last year, we do also have these new, what do they call it? Homogeneous cores, heterogeneous something cores, where you have like 2 performance cores and
Oh,
2
right. Yeah, the P cores,
low
E
power
cores, and
cores, P
stuff.
cores, E cores, and stuff like that. So that now
Intel's been
becomes a
doing
whole other
that.
mess.
Intel's been doing that obnoxious crap for a few years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, it's not on the server side of things. It's only on the consumer crap. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Haizam, I'll have a look at that because we're very interested in that. If I figure out a way to parse the topology spec, I'll let you know during these calls, or I'll just blog about it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
maybe,
The thing is,
yeah.
like, once I understand how it works, right, like how the underlying system works, I can translate that into JavaScript in like half an hour. because all that you see right now over here is like 100% JavaScript.
Okay.
So yeah, we can absolutely send it, but I'm really cautious about places where people's systems might break configs, and a very good example of that is the disk stuff. And until I got this server, I actually never played with a real server and Sylve, and it just completely broke our smart parsing because it exposed, I don't know, ISCSI drives, and I had to come in and fix that. So, but we kind of have to do it at this point. And yeah, earlier actually, Michael mentioned the Smart 8 util, and that looks pretty great. I'm pretty much going to rewrite the entire Smart CTL implementation we have right now with that, because it's ISC license instead of GPL, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm pretty,
Check out my talks on that subject. I invented it
yeah.
during conference talks, and Chuck came from the audience and said, that's kind of cool. And one thing led to another. So thank you for giving him a report on the issues with was it the JSON output?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep. So that's it, I think, for me. Any other questions?
Oh, so, well, and just broadly, we had a conversation about putting that in 15, but 15 was a bit just busy with package base. So maybe we'll get that in base such that you have one few less dependency. Thank you very much. That was the entire goal from day one. And you have a perfect use case because you have a GUI rather than values that your average user has always had trouble parsing in Smart CTL, but such is life. So the road to 1.0, where do you stand on the refactoring you mentioned? But what's it look like for the next few months to get out the door?
Actually, at this point, I'm just procrastinating on the documentation.
Aha.
That
Well, then what
I
about the
think that
code?
should be that would be. I think it's pretty good now, except the disk spot I mentioned. I just got it like fixed, I think yesterday or something like that.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of work to be done there, but mostly, I mean, this is a production machine actually.
Okay.
We were planning on running Proxmox in this, so but I convinced them, let's just send it with this, see what happens. And I promised them I would work extra if it breaks. So and it has been rock solid. It has been fun. It has been rock solid, and yeah. So that's that. And I think the documentation will come around next month or something like that. And then I get to work with Dave on actually porting this, which should also be fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think a good target would be mid of next month to start working on the port again, because I really want to write documentation before I approach Dave again, because I realize that people will have a lot of issues if they don't like set some weird parameters, right? Especially around jails and things like that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the
Are there
zero to hero guide will definitely be there, and yeah, and it will definitely be a monorepo. So our main repository will contain the documentation markdown files as well. So if there are contributors, they can just send PRs there. So yeah.
are there any features you have to remove and temporarily disable for a 1.0 that just aren't ready enough?
At this point, I don't think so. I would say everything is pretty much okay-ish, and no, I think we're pretty good at this point.
That's fantastic. Is there anything else you want to demo while you've got the floor and you're sharing?
Um, Actually, no. If you guys have any questions, I can show you some things around. But like, uh, this is the new stuff that I did.
The new stuff. A quick tour of the new stuff would be great, but I've got to run.
Yeah.
So what you got? And I see a whole
Uh,
bucket of different OSs and uses. That's very cool. What's an
oh
Oracle
yeah.
OID?
Oh, that's some what's that thing called? An SSO stuff that we were just experimenting with.
Cool.
And
Take care,
there
Legend
we
Finder.
Java is weird. Java just takes up all the RAM, but CPU is fine though.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And yeah, and hit me
Fantastic.
up if you guys have any questions on the Discord. Like I'm pretty much always there.
Got it. I will replace the share. I will wrap this up. Any other questions, news, ideas inspired by all of this? We all seem to have our marching orders on some really good stuff. Well, I say we quit while we're ahead. Who would like the honors. We need a catchy way of saying it. I invite everyone to like and subscribe. Those numbers in theory help something somewhere, but they sure obviously haven't been monetized, and you're welcome. So I hope to keep it that way, ironically. So I don't necessarily care if you like and subscribe, but thank you so much. Fantastic. Roman, just ping me on how you need use of that machine. Same for Hazem. It's been stable such that I don't need to reboot it very often. I do watch if you're running any processes, and I wish everyone a great week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.